Welcome back. In step 8 in 01 and then 02, we are going to implement the complex type constructors like lists and then maps in our variables, okay, in Terraform input variables. So we are going to define lists and then maps. So far we have defined string and then number. So if you click on this type constraints list, so you will have something called string, number, boolean, list and then map. Okay, so we already implemented string and then number. So boolean is going to be simple, yes or no, true or false. So the complex things here are list and then map. Okay, so these two things in two different steps, in 0801 and then 0802, we are going to implement step by step. Okay, so the first thing is list. Okay, so implement variable type as a list. Okay, so list or tuple you call it, a sequence of values like US West 1A, US West 1C, like this in a square bracket. Elements in a list or a tuple are identified by consecutive whole number starting with 0. Okay, so implement list function for variables EC2 instance type. Okay, so for the instance type variable, so we are going to implement the list function. Okay, so we'll define the variable and description is same, but type is list of string. Okay, and default value also you will provide in square brackets with different lists. So if you want to reference this one, right, so if you want to reference this variable for instance type in the EC2 instance resource, so var dot EC2 instance type of 0 for the first value, of 1 for the second value, and of 2 for the third value. So like this you will be able to call the list values inside the instance type argument of a resource. So that's about the implementing of a list function in input variables. So let's go ahead and then implement this practically, test it and then get a feel of it. Okay, so let's go back to our Visual Studio Code and we are in V7. So from V7 let's copy C1, C2, C3 and then C4. Okay, so let me copy these things and we'll copy to V801 input variables lists. Okay, so we are learning the lists here. So C1, C2, C3 and then C4. So we'll go to variables here. So you have the instance type variable defined with the description is this, and the type is going to be a list of string. So we are changing it to list of string, and we are going to define the default values here. Okay, so the first one is t3.micro and second one is t3.small and third one I can give it as t3.large. So now you have defined the EC2 instance type with the type as list of string. Okay, and you also define the default strings. Okay, so for this respective list type of variable. So now you need to reference one thing by default here. Okay, so in EC2 instance, so you cannot leave like this. Okay, so if you leave like this, it is going to throw an error. So let it throw an error and then let's fix it. Okay, so let's go back here to terminal and we'll go to 05 Terraform variables 0501 and we'll go to V801 input variables and we'll run the Terraform init. Okay, so once the Terraform is downloaded, so we'll run it. Okay, so we didn't reference it as square brackets and 0 or 1 or 2. So let's see what happens. So let's run Terraform, validate and then see what happens. Okay, incorrect attribute value type. In C4 EC2 instance.tf at the line number 4, it is saying that incorrect attribute value type. Okay, inappropriate value for attribute instance type string required. Okay, so now I will say of 0. Okay, and again one more time I will say Terraform validates. Okay, it is successful, and if you run the plan it should show t3.micro. Okay, in the same way if you change it to 1 and then run it, it should show different value. Let's go here and if you see instance type t3.micro, so I'll say 1, it should show t3.small, right? So 0, 1 and then 2, 0, 1 and then 2. So now let's run the Terraform plan and it should show us t3 dot small. So let's see what happens now. So let's go up here, and for instance type you can see t3 dot small. So if you use 2, then automatically it is going to give you the value of what we call t3 dot large. So if you use 2 here, it will show you the large. So I'll change it to 0 and then leave it like this. So this completes the demo of implementing complex constructor type variable type as list. So I'll also clean up this .terraform folder, and we'll leave it with C1, C2, C3 and then C4. So in our next lecture we'll focus on learning about implement variable type as map. So I'll see you in the next lecture. Until then, bye bye. Thank you.